Well, this is not a boat accident. It wasn't any propeller, it wasn't any coral reef, and it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was Lou Diamond.
You don't need to play it safe.
This was spectacular.
I'm going to be really honest, so I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, that's what we want.
And there will be bumps in the road. There will be twists and turns.
You needed moxie on the floor and volume.
It's the results and the connections and the improvement, the impact we have on other people's life. And that's when life becomes exciting.
Who do you turn to personally to get back on the thriving track?
I was really interested in how the world works.
Thanks for the great introduction.
It was really very simple. I just read part of your bio. Be brief, be bright, be gone.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I am your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a professional speaker, adventurer, and mountain mover. Whether it's building resilience, climbing mountains, channeling success, or instilling optimism, this world-class adventurer changes and challenges the way people think, act, and dream. Her programs use stories gleaned from real-life adventures to create memorable and actionable strategies that can be applied immediately to take people to the next level in their careers and lives. She's a best-selling author and has another one on the way as she works on training to swim the English Channel. Thrive Loud listeners coming from the other side of the globe in Abu Dhabi, Julie Lewis. Jules, how are you today?
I'm excellent, thank you. I'm super excited to be thriving out loud with you.
I love
the globe. Yeah,
it's so much fun because I run into Jules when she comes stateside. I've yet to make it to Abu Dhabi and to get out there. And when you see the things or hear the things she's doing, you just every time I go, I shake my head and go, this person's unbelievable. Going to Everest, to, like as I mentioned in the opening, swimming the English Channel, doing all these things that you're set to do. What I know our Thrive Out listeners would love to hear, Jules, is a little bit of how all of that became your world. Because I think it's really cool, and I think it'll be fun for our listeners to get an understanding, because as it comes to leadership, thought leaders out there, such a word, you're at the top of that list. And I think that's something that our people would love to hear more about. So I was going to say pass the baton. I don't know what the equivalent is, because it's not a relay race when you're swimming the channel, which I know you are attempting to do. So yes. Let's lead into all these things that you're doing and share with our community your brilliance.
Sure. Well, actually, my background many moons ago started in sports science. So that's really what I studied at university in Sheffield in the UK. And really, I spent 18 years in the health, fitness, and sports management industry, all around peak performance and encouraging and motivating people to kind of push boundaries and challenge the norm and get out of their comfort zone. And then for my 40th birthday, it's always a milestone birthday, isn't it? Any birthday with a zero limit birthday. So what could I do that's epic? And I decided to go and climb a mountain. And most of my friends at the time said, what do you want to do that for? We've organized this party for you. And I said, hold the party. When I come back, we'll have the party. So I climbed a mountain in Malaysia called Kota Kinabalu, and just over 4,000 meters, which when you're living at sea level, as I do here in Abu Dhabi or in the UAE, it was a good challenge. And basically on top of that mountain at 5:30 in the morning on my 40th birthday, I had a bit of an epiphany, actually. It was just like, I'm on a mountain. I'm on a natural high. Ooh, mountain high. That would be a really cool name for a company. And I just thought, I really feel totally alive, elated. What a fantastic achievement. I can see a whole new world out there. And I literally thought, I want to do something with this. And a year later, I took a team of 18 women to Everest Base Camp in Nepal. And we raised around $80,000 for a mobile breast screening unit. And that trip actually was the second epiphany that I just wanted to do expeditions. This was my thing. The gym, the tennis, the squash, the aerobics too, they were great. But wow, there was a big playground out there, and I wanted all of it, so mountains, forests, oceans, desert. So when I came back from the Nepal trip, I mean, I don't know if you've been to Nepal, but I mean, it's an incredible country, and you spend any time there walking in the mountains, you come back transformed. And I literally handed in my notice and decided I'm going to start my own business called Mountain High. And that was in 2003 in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. And since that time, I've run 60 expeditions to more than 20 countries, including the Arctic and Antarctica, so the top and the bottom of the world. And really, just connecting with new cultures, getting people out of their comfort zones, making a difference. I call it loving action, MAD, making a difference, and LOVE, lots of valuable experiences. So all of this kind of experiential leadership, so you really discover more about yourself, about others, and about nature, and about different countries and different terrain and different beliefs. It really, really is a great journey of self-discovery, and that sounds really corny for a lot of people, but it's just incredible. And the mountain is a great metaphor for life. You either see it as an obstacle or as an opportunity. But really, that first mountain for my 40th birthday was the turning point. And really, all the expeditions that I've built on since have really been those levels of growth and learning. And when the knees get a little bit tired, you start swimming. So, yeah.
So I want to rewind a little touch from this, because for the listeners out there who obviously heard of all these places you'd been to, from Malaysia, Nepal, Abu Dhabi, and obviously, if you can tell, she has a little bit of an accent in the sense that she sounds like she speaks the Queen's tongue. Can we rewind a little bit and figure out, how did you get to where you are in Abu Dhabi? How did that part, is that it's not where you're from. I know that. So share with the listeners a little bit of, you are as global as anyone I know, and I want to know how it all ended up there.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I actually say, when people say, where are you from? I kind of say everywhere, because really, my husband's from Colorado. I'm originally from the UK. I live in the United Arab Emirates, which is the most multicultural melting pot you could ever wish to live in. Originally, I'm from Yorkshire, from the north of England, and people from Yorkshire are a breed of their own. We're very, very special from up north, yeah. It's a mindset from up north, yes. And when I was 27, and I'm currently 56 years young, so this is going back some time, I was offered a job as a sports and recreation manager in Kuwait, in the Middle East. And at that time, I had no idea where Kuwait was, but I thought, that sounds exciting, much more exciting than Sheffield, which is my hometown. And so I decided to say yes, basically. So I moved to Kuwait in 1989. Unfortunately, I was there when Iraq invaded in 1990. So I kind of hid for 3 weeks and then escaped, and lived in the UK for 4 years, but then went back, because there's just something about the Middle East that I found exotic and exciting, and so I moved back to Kuwait. I moved to Dubai in 1999 and had 13 years there, and then 2 years in Hong Kong, and then full circle in Abu Dhabi. So I think out of the 4 children, I have 2 older sisters and a younger brother, I've always been the bit of a wanderer that's always knew that, there's adventure, there's travel. When I was 7, my father bought me a globe on my birthday, and we used to play this game, spinning the globe. Close my eyes, spin the globe, and then put my finger on the globe, and wherever it stopped, we'd have wild conversations about that place. It was certainly more interesting than geography class at school, that's for sure. And so I would have wild dreams about traveling, about, being this Amazon warrior and dog sledding in the Arctic and climbing mountains. Absolutely exhausted when I woke up the next day, because I'd had all these wild adventurous dreams. So I think it was just always something in me that knew I didn't really want to make the UK my home base. And the Middle East, people say, well, it's not particularly adventurous in the Middle East, but it's a great gateway, because it takes 4 hours to get to Nepal from the UAE. You can be pretty much anywhere in Asia between 4 to 8 hours. I can be back in the UK in 8 hours. I can get to New York in 11 when I come to the C-suite conferences. And, the fact that every day I'm kind of mixing with people from 10, 12, 15 different nationalities, it really broadens, your mind, and I just think it's super. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So it's really interesting, Jules, because the thing that I've always found fascinating about the activities that you do, I think, and when I'm doing a lot of workshops or speaking with different companies and helping them better to connect, you are truly going out there. And when people say immersive experience, you have, experiential experiences. And it is such a wonderful component to what you do. I guess with as many journeys and treks as you've done, I know one of the most challenging things is it's not only obviously a mental state of mind, an incredible mindset you have to accomplish these activities, but it's also very physically wearing. Can you talk a little bit about the physicality in a lot of these adventures that you put together? Because it is a combination of two, is it not?
I would say physical, mental, and emotional. These are significant emotional experience when you reach the summit of a mountain, or you're piling through the finish of a snake boat race or a dragon boat race, which we've done in several countries, or you're dog sledding in 360 degrees of snow and silence. It's kind of quite emotional in many, many ways, spiritual even. So I think it's a kind of perfect interlocking of the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And obviously, when people sign up for expeditions, it's because they want to go to that country. They want to experience the activities that we do. And they realize that, it's that mindset, but also the physical requirements of that, especially if it's involving altitude, because if you're living and working at sea level, the minute you go to around 3,000 meters, that's 10,000 feet, your body knows it, it tells you. You can't necessarily train for altitude, although we do have an altitude chamber in the UAE where you can simulate being at altitude and train, which is very, very useful. It's basically making sure that people are prepared to put in the commitment during the week with a personal trainer or at a gym, cross training. So it's the strength and it's the endurance and it's the flexibility, building their core. And then at weekends, getting together to do things as a team. And you can tell who's been working during the week and who hasn't. So it's actually good, in terms of accountability, so that when you actually get to the country, you can actually enjoy it, instead of after one day thinking, oh my gosh, my hamstrings, my quads are screaming, I can't go on, because, it's you're kind of, you're only as strong as the weakest link, and when you're on a mountain trail, there's certain points you get to, and yes, of course you can turn back, but it becomes more and more difficult. So it's really just building yourself up before that, preparing yourself mentally, physically, so you can actually enjoy it. And obviously having all the right gear is very important. Yeah. The right boots. Your hiking boots become your very best friend because you live in them. Nobody enjoys having blisters and hot spots and things. Keeping warm, keeping dry, etc. When you think of Everest in 1953, when Tenzing and Hillary first summited, the technology then compared to the technology now, with GPS and, Thuraya satellite phones and Patagonia gear and, thermalights and everything, they had thick woolly jumpers on and all kinds of stuff, So, yeah, it is.
Hey there! If you're enjoying how Lou is connecting with this guest in this interview, then just imagine how impactful he can be in person. As an international speaker and consultant, Lou Diamond is all about getting organizations to thrive through the power of connecting. To learn more about how you can hire Lou to speak at your company, your conference, or your next event, head on over to loudiamond.net and click the Book Lou button to learn more. He'll truly get everyone to thrive loud. All right, let's get back to the show.
So I was going to take this into two parts. One, that first time that you went up and you climbed the mountain in Malaysia, that incredible experience of a mountain high, and all these journeys that you have done. For you personally, has it gotten weathered down a little bit? Is it or is it that same sense of elation to help a group or to see others achieve that same bit of excitement and an experience for themselves?
Definitely. I mean, each group is completely different. And, they're mixed group, different nationalities, different ages, different backgrounds, different professions. So the group really actually makes it. For example, dog sledding in Svalbard, which is the Norwegian Arctic Circle, really far north. And we've been now 9 times. And people say, Julie, don't you just get fed up of going to Svalbard? I go, no, I love the huskies and, being out there in 360 degrees of snow. But it's the people that make it, the characters. And when you see somebody that is, one of the women on the trip have never seen snow. She was from Yemen and never seen snow. And we've done some training at Ski Dubai. I don't know if you know this, but we've actually got an indoor ski slope in a shopping mall in Dubai. And it gets to -7 at night. So I've been given permission to camp out and, so people wearing their training gear and going up and down the slope, because running on a treadmill in regular, sports gear is very, very different from climbing a mountain with your boots, your backpack, and your different layers on. So as far as possible, I try and simulate what we're actually going to be doing. And then when you see people, just that connecting with nature, and then obviously when you bring dogs into it, 6 huskies pulling a sled, and they see a reindeer and they take a sharp right, and you're looking over to the left because you've seen something that you like, and anything can happen. So I really love the stories, at the end of the day, we'll sit around and we'll have conversations. What did you see today? What did you hear? What did you feel? What did you smell? What did you taste? And we've all done exactly the same thing, but it's incredible the different experiences people have had. So for me, it's very rewarding from somebody that's, never climbed a mountain, that's climbed their first mountain, because it takes me right back to, 16 years ago when I climbed my first mountain, and everybody thought I'd gone nuts, and I came back and it was like, I just climbed a mountain, this is awesome, everybody needs to do this. And so it's extremely rewarding. And the stories that you gather from such experiences are really good to tell to audiences, because as I mentioned earlier, the mountain is a metaphor for life. So whether you're running a business, writing a book, starting your Thrive Out Loud awesome podcast, it's a journey, and it's taking one step at a time. And it's all of the traits that you need to climb a mountain are the same to run a successful business. Trust, vision, decision-making, teamwork, persistence, faith, resilience. So it makes great, presentations to companies that are facing challenges, and when you can draw parallels to that experience as opposed to just reading a book about it, you actually go and physically do it. It's exciting.
So Jules, and this is a great relationship to metaphor, that we don't always have successes. And what's really interesting, and it's a matter of what you gauge as a success or not. I wanted to spin this a little bit to what you're currently going through, because I know that you have made an attempt to swim the English Channel and did not make it. Can you share with the listeners this whole process and this whole journey as you're at now? Because I think really understanding channeling success is a great message for everyone to understand, and truly showing perseverance and persistence as well, because I think you've got that to the nth degree. So
yes, exactly. I start raving mad. Yes, I mean, taking the hard way to France. There's a ferry that goes every hour. Why? What came up was last year, actually, for my 55th birthday, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to go back and climb that first mountain in Malaysia? So I went with my husband. And it was pouring it down with rain. And the guide said, I don't think it's so smart to go to the summit. I said, no, you don't understand. I've got to go to the summit. It's 15 years ago. Long story short, we summited and we came back down and we were chatting away about mountains. And I said, the message from the mountain the first time was start mountain high. And the message from the mountain this time was all this water. So I have to do something with water. And then somebody said, oh, well, the Everest of open water swimming is the English Channel. I went, yes, of course it is. That's what I'll do. I'll swim the English Channel. So initially it was a team. So we actually had a team of 5 people. And I paid the deposit and everything. And then one by one, when they kind of realized what it would actually entail, people kind of dropped out. I thought, oops. And this last year now, gosh, we're in 2019 now. In January, I figured, oh my goodness, it looks like I'm going to go solo. And I thought, well, this is a good, I talk about challenging yourself, so I should walk my talk or swim my talk. So I found myself a coach. So this is the first tip: find yourself a coach, a good coach. So I found a woman who swam the channel 6 times. She's based in Dover. I went down to meet her in March. At that time, the water temperature was 5 degrees, which is rather colder than it is here in Abu Dhabi. So she said, okay, it's too cold for you to swim in. Let's go to the swimming pool. And she just said, swim until I tell you to stop. So I swam. And she said, okay, you're obviously fit. She said, we need to change your technique. If you're going to be swimming for anything from 12 to 15 hours, we need to make you more efficient. Now that it's solo, you've got a 6-hour qualifier to do in cold water. And I said, how cold is cold? And she said, well, it has to be less than 16 degrees. And I thought, okay. I swim in 29 degrees in Abu Dhabi, so this is going to be interesting. So this was in March, and basically I came back to Abu Dhabi with a training program, and we had a WhatsApp kind of system where I would send her what I'd done and what my stroke rate was, etc., etc. And in June last year, I went back to do the qualifier swim. And I remember the first day so clearly. I landed on the 5th, and I thought, I'm sure I'll get a rest on the 6th of June. And she called me on the morning of the 6th of June and said, okay, I'll see you on the beach, 10 a.m. We'll put you in for 15 minutes, see how you go. And I thought, 15 minutes, that's a doddle. But 15 minutes at 14 degrees, oh my goodness, it was like ice bath. I literally did 15 minutes, came out the water shaking like the disco shakes. And gradually over that week, from 15 minutes to half an hour to an hour to an hour and a half to 6 hours. And that was the first kind of like, wow, I can do this. So a 6-hour qualifier swim. And then I was traveling in the States, came back, and building up over the summer. I committed myself to 5 weeks in the summer, training every day, fueling performance. I've never eaten so much carbohydrates in my whole life. I mean, I'm a fish and salad girl, and all of a sudden I'm eating pasta and more pasta. But it was fueling the performance, basically. And I did a 10-hour training swim. I thought, if I can do 10 hours, then I'll be able to see France. This is good. And I thought, I've got a good chance of this. Now, you have to remember that this had been 5 months training in total. The people that I met there had been training for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. They had kind of a swimming background. And of course, I have a mountaineering background, a sports background, and my swimming background is, it's there. So my date was the 22nd of August, which was on what's known as a neap tide, and neap tides are more favorable. On the 22nd of August, the weather was shocking, absolutely shocking, and my boat pilot said, it's a no-go. You're not going out on the 22nd. I said, okay. So it's like, hurry up and wait. On the 28th of August, he said, okay, weather forecast looks good. I'll meet you at the marina at midnight. And initially I'd been scheduled to swim at 5 a.m, which would be perfect for me because I wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock most morning. So now all of a sudden I'm going to be swimming in the dark at midnight. And it's like, oh my goodness, no. Anyway, focus. Get on the boat. We leave Dover Marina, go round to the start point, and it's really pitching and rolling, rocking and rolling. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is he going to put me in this water? And he said, Jules, the conditions are a lot worse than the forecast suggests, and I think we're going to have to go back. So it's a no-go. And this is at 1 o'clock in the morning after I've had about 3 hours sleep. And then basically the weather just got considerably worse. So he said, go take a break. And so I went up to Yorkshire, and then I'd only been in Yorkshire 24 hours. He called me, said, come back down. There's a bit of a break in the weather. So I came back down. Same thing, put you in the water at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm actually short-sighted. And when we went round to the start point, he said, just swim to the beach, put your hand up, say that you're ready, and then you're off. I said, I can't see the beach. Oh, I said, you're going to have to put a big beam out there. So I put a big beam out, and I just saw this row of brown pebbles. So swam about 100 meters to the beach, cleared the water, put my arm out, said, I'm ready. And then started swimming, swam towards the boat. And I did swim towards the right boat because there were two of the boats with swimmers on that particular evening. and just kept swimming. So it's pitch black. It's cold. There's things in the water that come past you. Yeah, and I just thought, just keep swimming.
Dory at its best, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then every hour, basically, my coach would put some flashlights on to indicate that, come in for a feed. And when I say come in for a feed, you don't get back on the boat. You just literally, they throw you a line with a feeder and that's just got some liquid carbohydrate. And so I had 3 feeds. I kept swimming. And then all of a sudden, the boat pilot kind of put the light on. He said, Jules, we're not going to France. And I went, what? Yes, we are. And literally the tides were super, super strong. And they were pretty much taking me up the coastline, which there were other swimmers as well. But based on the tide and all the various other conditions, it just said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pull you out. And I was like, what? I know I can swim for 10 hours. The pilot's, word is final. And I was pulled out. Yeah. So I got back on the boat, wrapped up in all my gear, in a little corner, thinking, oh no. And then I thought, okay, what's good about this? I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. I swam for 3.5 hours in the dark. I know I can have another shot at this. And really, I think a lot of it, I'd flipped from initial doubts, 2 or 3 months before to trust, to total trust, basically. And I gave this challenge a nickname. It was my BSP. And I just visualized I was in a big swimming pool, as opposed to the English Channel, which
right.
Every 6 hours does a complete 360 turn. And it, either is very calm and welcoming, or it chews you up and spits you out. And on that night, it chewed me up and spit me out. And you have to remember that there's only 500 women since 1875, since Captain Matthew Webb swam the English Channel, that have actually completed the channel. So I'm thinking, it is really a massive, massive challenge. And I want to go back and do it again.
Yeah. So let's ask that question from a timing perspective.
Yes.
What is your plan for attempting to go again?
Yeah. So it's quite tough to actually get good dates. You need to really be slot number 1 or number 2. I was slot number 4 last summer. And so it's actually, there's 2 piloting organizations, the Channel Swimming Association, and then there's the Channel Swimmers and Pilots Federation. So I have a slot 3, and it's actually as a team this time round. I've decided that I realize how much energy and effort has to go into training, and because of a few things that are on the schedule this year, I'm going to go solo in 2020. But this year, in July, I will swim with a team. It's actually 2 guys from the States, a lady from Mexico, one from Scotland, and another guy here in Abu Dhabi. So the qualifier swim is 2 hours compared to 6, and we will swim probably about an hour each, basically. Just excuse me, I'm going to cough a little bit.
You're allowed.
Okay, there we go. So I reckon we'll definitely get to France this time round. And for me, it will be, another experience. And who knows, if training goes really well over the next few months, I'll see if there is a slot. But I really feel, working as a team this time around would be great fun. Mm-hmm. We can be called the Water Giants. And then I will do the 2020 solo. And if you look at the average age of a channel swimmer, you'll be interested to know that it's 35 to 36. I'm 56. At the end of the day, passion has no age, and the channel doesn't know how old I am. This is what I reckon. I said, well, the water doesn't know how wise I am. And 3 weeks before, actually, there was a lady, I'm just trying to remember her name now, 71.
Oh, my goodness.
Who is now retained her title or got her title back. She swam when she was 60 and kept the record for quite a while. And then somebody else kind of whipped it from under a swimming costume.
Unbelievable.
And she decided, okay, let me give it another go. And I think she completed in about 16 hours. And obviously the fastest swimmer is Trent Grimsey, who's an Australian, who swam across in 6 hours and 55 minutes. And it's like, are you joking? Are you sure you didn't have a little outboard motor on your feet or something? But, long levers, I'm 5'4", and seeing some of there's certain things, with taller, strapping Australian swimmers that are used to kind of rough seas. But that said, I loved it. And I just think it's important in business and in sports and in life to challenge yourself, to get out of your comfort zone.
I'd say
so much.
I love that all of your challenges are literal. Like they're like climbing the mountains, going to new heights, swimming in deep depths. It's wonderful. I ask this question to all the guests on Thrive Loud, Jules, and I'm curious about this.
Yes.
When you have trouble thriving, which I don't think there are many days on the calendar, I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about you personally. When you have an off day, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
It's a great question. And, I have daily rituals so that I you can get super highs and you can get super lows. And I think the goal is to kind of be steady. Not saying stay on a plateau, but to just be really grounded, even though you have, very extreme or, reaching for the stars, reaching for the moon. But I'm a great believer in stillness and silence. So meditation is one of my daily rituals. And if somebody had told me a few years ago that I would sit still for 20 minutes every morning, I would say, are you joking? But having completed some Zen leadership training in Wisconsin, actually, that meditation is a big one. Journaling. A couple of months ago, I did an emotional intelligence course, and I found that that's really helped me a lot to be more self-aware. So really, it's silence and stillness, and then actually thinking, who would be the best person to speak to about how I'm feeling right now or what I'd like to do right now. And I think it's super smart to have an ecosystem of people that, somebody that can make you laugh, somebody that you can cry on their shoulder or go, whoa, somebody who can give you connections and say, speak to this person. Or somebody that's just, you can model, they've already done what you want to do. And you just say, can I just have a coffee with you and just have a chat about X, Y, Z. So I think it's a combination of know thyself, going inwards, but then actually looking outwards and saying, who would be the best person right now? And by joining different groups, C-suite network, various groups that you become a member of, then you can have this support system. And I think the social resilience is super important because, no man or woman is an island. Nobody climbs Everest on their own or swims the channel on their own. They've got a support team. They've got the boat, the pilot, the coach, the nutritionist, people thrive with other people around them. So I very much your positive tribe, basically, that when you've really hitting a little bit of a low, that they can actually lift your spirits and actually make you laugh and say, gosh, come on. So, and at the end of the day, what's important. And I think, being healthy is number one value. My first top value is health. So health and happiness, and everything else falls into place when you've got those, really. That's my personal opinion. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, Jules, let's do the admin piece here before we wrap up. Share with all the Thrive Loud listeners all the places that they can find Julie Lewis, your websites, your social medias, everything, because I will tell those who are listening right now, when she posts something, you just have to take a look and see where she is, because you always have to be like, she took that picture from where? she's so she's worth following, watching, and listening to, obviously, with all these stories that she has. So, Jules, share with the community where people can find you.
I guess the easiest one is the website, the World Wide Web, which is www.julie-lewis.com. And that website links into the mountainhighme.com, which is just about to go for a major upgrade in terms of that. You can find me on Twitter at mountainhighme, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah, pretty social, actually.
You are very social. It's very true.
Yeah.
So Jules, this is interesting. What is your all-time favorite movie?
I love Avatar. I'm a big nature geek. I love planet Earth. I'm a biophiliac. I think that's the term, that you love every living thing. And I'm a tree hugger. I'm a mermaid in the water. I'm a mountain. Yeah, I just love the concept of, we really need to protect and preserve our planet, because we need nature more than nature needs us, and whenever I'm in a forest, I think, gosh, you give us oxygen and we give you CO2. So I just love that concept that, the good overcomes,
with all it can be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it's something that we can do in every single day, when we can just be more mindful of what we're using, how we're using things, products, services, and how much time do you, I talk about resilience quote and RQ, but I also talk about NQ. How much time do you actually spend in nature? Because I think it's our disconnection from nature that causes a lot of stress. Basically, for me to go and swim in the sea or wiggle my toes in the sand or sit under a tree is just a big boost. It's a big energizer, and it's great for your immune system. So, yeah, I struggle in cities. I must say, I do struggle in cities. Yeah.
Understood. Julie Lewis, this has been truly a pleasure. Having you on Thrive Loud has been fun. I want to thank you. I know for the Thrive Loud listeners, we decided to record this at a time that could work, and this is very late at night in Abu Dhabi.
It's approaching the midnight hour. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin.
But this has been awesome, and thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. It's been fantastic. I look forward to connecting again in stateside, in person.
Absolutely. Maybe one day I'll head out to you. It sounds like I think,
yes. Yeah, come to the desert, Lou. Yeah, you could do a Lou Diamond connecting in the desert. I love that.
I like that too.
Well, okay. All right. Let me know your flight details.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
One life ends, another begins.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.